Keep an eye on that, Jeremy. Thank you. GTP took flight to D.C. to land support for several initiatives. Greater Topeka Partnership Chief Marketing Officer Bob Ross is here for a conversation on what this trip was all about. Welcome to you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, before we talk about where you went, we've got some people coming into Topeka later this week.
Yeah, it's an exciting week.
Happening?
Yeah, so we are welcoming the city of New Braunfels, Texas, their Chamber of Commerce.
The whole city?
The entire city. Get ready, Topeka. It's going to get exciting. No, but their Chamber of Commerce, their business leaders, their community leaders have selected Topeka and Lawrence to really spend some time over 3 days to really see what we're doing in Topeka that works. They've been impressed by our progress and momentum over the last 5 years. And they reached out to us in May and said, we'd love to bring our leaders from Texas to come to Topeka and actually see how you're making this all happen. So we will be eager to welcome them. They've got a full day of programming where they're going to be meeting with their own community leaders about economic development issues, about our Parks and Rec, and it's going to be an exciting time.
What are they seeing? Because I know we take these intercity visits to get ideas from other places. What was it that had them contact Topeka and say, we want to see how you did X, Y, Z? Because when we live here, sometimes we're like, what would they want to see?
100%. I think they are very impressed with the progress we've made from an economic development standpoint. They see Topeka as a very pro-growth community. They love the fact that our city and county partners are deeply involved with our business to community to see about what we can do to cut regulations and build momentum to really help our businesses prosper, and they want their own community to learn from that. But they're also very intrigued by different projects we have going, like the Gage Park Sales Tax District that's providing new revenue to Gage Park, to the zoo, to the Children's Discovery Center. They think that's an interesting model, so they're going to be going to the zoo to learn from that. They'll be learning about Go Topeka. We do benefit from a half-cent sales tax, which allows us to invest in small businesses and larger businesses and talent attraction. They don't have that there, so they're going to be wanting to learn from our team at Go Topeka. And they also like the spirit of regionalism that we have. So we have set up conversations with Manhattan, Topeka, and Lawrence, and chambers of commerce across all three of those communities to really show how we are working together from a regional perspective to just promote Kansas.
Very good. So now let's talk about where you went. You guys went to Washington, D.C. You can tell me a little bit about who it was, because we have a little bit of a little bit of video and a few photos from this trip. When did you travel and who went?
Yeah, so speaking of advocating for Kansas, we took a group of about 15 people to Washington, D.C., September 7th, 8th, and 9th. And these are business and community leaders. We really met with our congressional delegations. So we were fortunate to meet with Representative Mann, with Schmidt, with Senators Marshall and Moran, as well as organizations like the U.S. Economic Development Agency, the U.S. Chamber, to really drive home the policy priorities for our community. And what was great is we built our entire policy objectives around the businesses that we're bringing with us. So, we brought representatives from Supervisors Excel to really talk about our financial service sector. We brought small businesses to talk about the impact of tariffs on our small business community. We even brought representatives, from our manufacturing sector to talk about the impact of workforce and H-2B visas and the importance of that. So it was an impactful dialogue, really connecting our congressional leaders with the people in Topeka that are actually advocating for our community.
And how were those conversations? Because when you mentioned things like tariffs, much of our congressional delegation is Republican and supportive of President Trump's policies, which would include those tariffs. So what was the reception, and where are they perhaps telling you the feedback you received in terms of where they might be able to find some middle ground to achieve the objectives that both sides want?
Yeah, no, they were very receptive. I think especially when they realized the unintended consequences of some of these tariffs. We were fortunate to be joined by someone like Nick Exaitis with Hazel Hill. He was able to share that because of the current tariff policy, the tariff on cacao has increased by 400%. Cacao, the root ingredient for chocolate, can't be manufactured. It can't be grown in the United States except in small quantities in Puerto Rico and Hawaii. And so that's directly impacting his small business, as well as you're finding European manufacturers that are getting around the tariffs by importing the cacao from Africa, getting into Europe, and then bypassing it by shipping it through Mexico and Canada. So I think hearing that from a small business owner was really relevant. We, congratulated, or I guess really were supportive of Senator Moran, who has endorsed and co-sponsored legislation to reassert some congressional authority over tariffs. And we got good feedback from Senator Marshall and from Representative Schmidt, who said they'd be willing to at least work with our U.S. trade representatives to raise awareness for where we could get exemptions for certain industries. So I think everyone knows that they want the policies to work for our business community, and when they aren't, they're wanting to work with us to get it fixed.
Well, we'll continue following those conversations because they are ongoing, and certainly things continue to be up for debate. As always, it is Washington after all. They keep debating things. So,
Absolutely.
Bob Ross, appreciate you and keeping us informed on what is happening at the Greater Topeka Partnership. Thank you. Harps take center stage at a free concert this weekend. We have the details next.